All of my hate used to be directed at the police department. And then one day it hit me. The police department doesn't have water hoses. And all those civil rights videos, it wasn't the police department that was hosing people down. When those large, thriving black communities were being burned to the ground, it wasn't the police's job to put those fires out. And then I started reading. And it turns out there's a long history of communities that a certain group of people wanted to gentrify suddenly catching on fire. And somehow that group never being able to put it out and also having no idea how said fires started.
There are way too many things that I wish I could forget. And I said, yeah, man, you make it to damn near 100 years old, I'm pretty sure you got a handful of regrets. And he looked at me with the most serious look ever and said, you have no idea. Well, now I'm curious. Do tell. He said, you know, I used to be a firefighter through the 60s and 70s. I said, that's what's up. That's a very commendable job. And he said, yeah, it should be. He said the 60s and 70s was a different time in every way possible. You know that, right? And I'm just like, yeah, no shit. He said back in those times, I was a way different man, and who knew that we'd get to the point where we are in society today and I'd be feeling the way I'm feeling about the decisions that I made back in those times. So right before he took a very long pause, he looked at me and said, back in those times, it was very common for firefighters that looked like me to leave people that looked like you and burning houses and buildings and horrible situations just to say they couldn't get to us. He said more times than he'd like to admit, he would hear screaming black people and children in burning buildings and houses and apartments and stores and cars, and he would literally just pretend he didn't hear it. He said his last time doing it was when he made eye contact with the baby that he deliberately went into a building to save and deliberately didn't. And he said that was the last time he did it, and he quit that year. He said the nightmare still hasn't stopped. He still hasn't forgiven himself, and therapy helps, but it's still a living nightmare to have those memories.